Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Julie. Today I am making an apple pie that I have been making for 11 years now. I found the recipe randomly on Pinterest when I was 16 and I have experimented a lot with it. I've tried different apples. I've tried cutting the apples differently. I tried peeling the apples. I've tried using only brown sugar, only granulated sugar. I feel like I have perfected this apple pie to the point where I've been doing it the same for the past few years now. The biggest flaw it has, for some reason, I never used to struggle with this, but now I do, is the crumble on top, and it just gets like big and chunky. I think the solution to that would be to use cold butter instead of room temperature butter so that it creates that nice like crumbly texture, but unfortunately I didn't do it in this video, as you'll see later. So yeah, my recommendation for that would be to put away half a cup of butter in the fridge and then don't take it out until you are literally about to use it for the crumble topping. You don't want to hear me talk about my apple pie, you want to watch it. All right, let's go.
All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is mix all the dry ingredients together, and that's going to be 1.5 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of sugar. Just gonna give that a good mix with a fork or a whisk or your hand, it really doesn't matter. And then you're gonna mix all the wet ingredients together. It's gonna be half a cup of vegetable oil, or I've had success with melted butter, and 2 tablespoons of milk. Please don't roast me. I know my milk is chunky, but that is because I ran out of oat milk and I only had canned coconut milk. And you're just gonna give that a good stir. It's not gonna mix together perfectly because oil and milk don't mix well like that. And then you are going to pour the oil mixture over the wet ingredient mixture and just mix it around roughly with a fork until it gets to like more like a cookie dough texture that hasn't been mixed in very well. And this is gonna be your crust for the apple pie. So normally what I do is I get butter and put it on a napkin and just spread it around the bottom of the pie pan. This just helps keep it from not sticking, and it gives it a really nice flavor. And you're going to put your pie crust into the bottom of the pan, and you're just gonna kind of push it around the edges. It doesn't have to be completely perfectly around the edge. I certainly almost never make it perfect because I honestly don't care. And yeah, you're just gonna push it around till it's evenly spread out. Then you're just gonna bake the pie crust by itself for 5 minutes. Just helps it from not getting, like, every time I've cooked it without doing this, the pie crust it's really soggy. But anyways, you're gonna get 4 large apples or 6 small apples. Today I'm using Honeycrisp, but I normally use Granny Smith, and honestly I like the Honeycrisp apples better than the Granny Smith. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because it's sweeter. And I just chop it like this, like little slices. Yum. Yeah, just little slices. I used to cube it and do all this fancy stuff, but it's really not necessary. Just having thin slices of apples that are relatively cut the same size. All right, and then for the pie filling, you're gonna mix 2/3 cup of cane sugar, granulated sugar, or brown sugar. Pour that over the top of the apples with 2 tablespoons of room temperature butter and a teaspoon of cinnamon. I did not measure out the cinnamon. I normally never do. I just kind of eyeball it. And you're just gonna mix that around so it's coating everything evenly. Yo, that looks bomb. Now that I'm rewatching this, I'm gonna make another one. All right, and you are going to get your cooked pie crust and just dump the apples in there. Yep, just dump it. And you're just gonna move the apples around to kind of make a little hill of yummy, delicious cinnamon sugar apples. And for the topping, I put a quarter cup of granulated sugar, a quarter cup of brown sugar, and yeah, it's honestly because I ran out of granulated sugar, but it's fine. And then you're gonna mix that with 1 cup of flour. And then here is where you should put the 1/2 cup of chilled butter. I did room temperature here. Do chilled butter. It will give you a way better consistency for the crumble. And you just want to mix it around with a fork until it gets to a nice crumbly, even texture. See, look at that. I failed miserably. I kept adding flour and I realized it wasn't really helping. And here I just kind of start separating them to kind of mimic that texture that you usually would want in this type of topping. And then you are just going, ooh, I just got closer, nice. You are going to want to just sprinkle that topping on top till it's evenly coated. It doesn't have to be perfect. Imperfection gives character. But yeah, you see how the dry crumble, that's kind of how it's supposed to be. And then you're gonna put it in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 50 minutes to an hour, depending on your oven. Just look at that. Do you hear that? Oh my God, that was a gorgeous transition. Great job, Julie. And at this point, it smells so good. The smell is enveloping the entire house. Wow. Oh my God, you see that butter just bubbling with sugar and cinnamon and apple and the crumbly topping that just looks so fire. Great job, Julie. And the best part about this is it's vegan. It's vegan. And there you go.
Huh? It was good. See, it's still really good even with the really chunky crumble. That was rude of me. I have hard talking with food in my mouth. But yeah, it's still really good with the really chunky crumble, but like I said earlier, it would be a lot more of that crumbly texture that you're looking for if you use the cold butter straight out of the fridge. Right, baby?
Right.
Baby, come here. You want to try some? No, let me give you a bite. I'm going to give it to you. Yeah?
It's a crumbly.
Yeah, it's a crumbly?
Mm-hmm.
What about it? I need some work. Oh, you like the...